dear sisters, and welcome to this Be Woman Project online presence. We are really happy today to have with us a wonderful woman that has been inspired me since many years, and her name is Ana Gaia Vitória. Welcome, Ana.
Thank you, Elisa, dear.
With Ana, we will be talk about a very present and very interesting topic today, that is the connection between womanhood, and the nature. So how us as women, so also referring to Be Woman as a sisterhood, we can engage and empower ourselves following the special bond that as women we have with Mother Nature, which in the Vedic tradition is called Bhumi Devi, or Mother Nature, Gaia. So I would like to start sharing the mantra from which sprouted all the vision of this project, and is no woman, be woman, all women, nature, nurture me. And today we give space to nature, nurture me, which has a double meaning. It refers to Mother Nature, to Bhumi Devi, who is always taking care of us, nurturing us, making space for us, and giving to us as a species, but also as beings, like all plants, animal beings, human beings, all what we really need to live a life of grace and fullness if we surrender to her grace and her wisdom. And at the same time, deeply, it refers to the fact that nature is me. Nature and us are one and the same in wholeness. And nurturing is our true nature. And we can connect to our nurturing nature through Bhumi Devi, through Mother Nature. So Ana, dear sister, do you want to introduce a little bit yourself and your path and how you are linked to ecology, womanhood, deep ecology, and what does it mean to you?
Yes, thank you. It's a great honor to be here. And my path is very much related to a lot of what you already mentioned in the introduction. I would like to start by calling in the space, the place where I am. I am standing in Brussels, at the heart of Europe. And this place used to be a swamp. Like many of the big cities of this Western civilization, human beings decided to build a large settlement in a swamp. And swamps used to be, long before, sacred places or places of worship, and also places of fear. As humans found it very intriguing, this mixture of water and earth, of fog often. It was like a calling into another dimension. And so many sacrifices were done in swamp spaces. So I am standing in an ancient swamp space that is now largely characterized by concrete, by the concrete built by human beings. And It's also the place where the river Seine flows. In this age, it flows underneath the city as it has been buried. But that didn't used to be that way, and it might not be that way in the future. And I very much want to call in the presence of this place in its natural form as it used to be, and also in its actual form right now, where for me it mainly stands for bringing together people and cultures and languages and ways of living from all over the world. And that for me is really the richness of this place. So this is from where I'm speaking, and I would like to call out to everybody who will listen to us, and to you right now, Elisa, and to the beautiful place where you are, that I'm also very strongly connected to. And I just want to call in all those people who will be listening to us, all those women and everybody else, and also the ancestors and the future beings of this planet. And I want to dedicate this talk to them, to everything they have created so we can be here today, and everything that we will pass on to future generations, creating also this moment right now. And by calling in all of these beings, I also want to call in their co-creation. If you are listening to this now, then you are co-creating this talk in yourself by letting what you hear reverberate in you and making of it your own wisdom. So thank you for participating, for co-creating this moment with us. And so to come to myself, the really most important thing to say about myself is very related to what you already mentioned, the interbeing with nature, with life on Earth. I can and will describe my path in more the factual steps of what I have passed through. But I want to underline from the beginning that what makes me who I am and allows me and gives me the strength to bring everything I bring into this world is the continuous opening up more and more to the support of Earth and the experience of life as myself, as who I am, as what I am, and also as everything beyond me that I can contribute to and that I dedicate myself to. And to make it a bit more concrete, it's the crisis that I've gone through in my life. I feel like I only survived them because they allowed me to open up to Earth and breathe in her strength and her support. Just learning over months and years that support is there always, and that I can always open up and feel it physically in my body. Even if I'm in a skyscraper on the 30th floor, surrounded by glass and concrete, that support, the gravity of Earth is always pulling at me, giving me stability, and also filling me with strength when I allow myself to open up to it. So that's the core, that's what really matters. And beyond that, I am a human that has been cut off. My ancestors have been cut off of their traditions, of their cultures. And I grew up in a small town in Germany, in a very safe and peaceful surrounding that fully obscured all the oppression and dissociation and separation that my ancestors and most of our ancestors have gone through concerning our relationship to land, concerning our knowing, our natural wisdom, and also our cultures, our music, our ways of relating. That is not very alive anymore in Germany today. And my ancestors that also come from the Cape Verdean Islands and before that from the African continent, the cultures have just been cut off again and again. And so I grew up in an illusion, in a way, in an illusion of I'm German, I'm like everybody else, we're all equal, we just have to work hard and we'll be fine. And while actually experiencing something else, while actually being treated differently, just for looking a little bit different. And what that did to me is that it forced me to, or it taught me that the best way to survive is to adapt. To wherever I go, sense what are the norms of this place, of this social situation. And so really go into the unconscious actually, and the shadows of what do people expect here, what is right, and do it and become that. And only in my late 20s, I came to the point where this was destroying me from the inside. It was really tearing me apart, dissociating me as being something when I was out in the world and feeling like something very different inside. And through different crises, I dared to choose the path of what felt like my gift, my real talent, and seek to offer that to the world, whatever the cost. And that gift, the official term is to facilitate, the facilitation. For me, more concretely, it's facilitating sustainable co-creation. And for me, that combines the relationship to earth and nature, taking life really seriously, and at the same time also all the contribution, as I said at the beginning, of every single being that is present in the situation as it occurs. So co-creation, taking that seriously, putting awareness on it, and thereby making it constructive and nurturing and caring for everybody who's there, and therefore also able to continue in the long term. And from that dedication, a lot of activism arose, and right now I'm facilitating and designing a citizen assembly in Brussels for citizens to come together to discuss and come up with propositions for the politics, the city of Brussels, and hand that over to the parliament. And I'm also very active and dedicated to neighborhoods, small scale, very local neighborhood projects where it's all about people coming together, meeting each other, learning to respect each other, accepting all different ways of how we are, and thereby also inspiring each other into how we want to live together, and recreating our culture, recreating what we have been cut off from the inspiration of the now.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing so deeply your truth from your art. Thank you a lot. I met Anna here in Sicily, where she actually came as with all her presence and full heart and knowledge to facilitate community process of the eco community where I lived, and her inputs and her insights continue to stay with us, with the people I share this path with since then, since years. It is really precious, and I think it is really brave what you decided to do, to live and bring this awareness and bring this knowledge in Brussels, where the decision-making process about Europe and about our fate, in a way, as a European community are made. And it's so important that beings like you, Anna, share what they are and the insight that they have, their inspiration, what is driven by love and awareness into our cities as well, especially into our cities. And I wanted to ask, as a woman, do you think, or how do you think that we can especially relate to nature? What I mean is, how do you see the possibility for us as women, as a collective of women, to empower each other and other women to take the responsibility for ourselves, for our current generation, but also for the future generation of beings that will come? Yeah, I was, and I've been very inspired also by a collective women project that Hannah lived in, which is called The Grandmothers of Tomorrow. And the name itself really, speaks for itself.
Yes, let me just comment a little bit on what you said about my insights having contributed and stayed with you over the years with your community. It was really your insights. And I'm just so grateful that I could play a part in allowing you to make those insights visible and tangible for each of you, and therefore create this basis for you to be in project, be in process together. But yeah, thank you for also attributing part of that to me. Yes, the future grandmothers is a very important part of my life. It's really, I will not go into the details of who we are and how we work, but as you said, the name it really gives a direction and a strength and a force and the realization. Just being together with women and with this dedication of the future grandmothers, we are here together to bring to life the future grandmothers that we are, has opened up so many doors of perception for me. And carrying a future grandmother in my womb right now, who will be born this year, I very much hope that she will get to be a grandmother and look back proudly and with satisfaction on hopefully the great turning that has to happen during her lifetime. Yes, I find your question very pertinent on we as women, as a collective of women, when we come together, what is our role? What is our place and significance? And for me, the Be Woman project names that very well already. Just the starting point really has to be to heal together, to support each other and to overcome what this society forces us into, the competition, the comparison, the scarcity thinking of, if you are like this, then I can't be like this. And no, if you are bringing all of that, then I can just be grateful and know it's in the world. And if I have something similar to bring, it will be unique anyway, because each one of us is unique and it can still complement each other. And how you do it can inspire me to do it even more profoundly in my own way. So that, yeah, the mutual inspiration and really softening of women towards each other seems an essential starting point for me for a fundamental shift happening right now in the world, where I feel like as women, as humans, we have put ourselves into a box. We have put each other into a box that is very reductive, where only a very limited amount of our characteristics of living beings on this planet are valued. And they're very strongly related to ideas of competition, survival of the fittest, being the best, being profitable, being super productive. And beyond that box, there is so much more. And it is also this box of how we are characterizing human beings today that forces us into a certain kind of relationship with Earth that is the extractive one, the relationship of everything that is alive is but a resource for us to gain profit, create wealth, which is really not happiness. And why I am very inspired by women again and again, and here I really want to include all people, not only all people that identify as women, them also absolutely, but also people who identify as men. There is this capacity of letting the veil fall and recognize a truth of relationship with the living, with Earth, that is, I've heard it many times from women where I might have not expected it at all, where they suddenly bring out this very simple wisdom of course, everything is alive. Of course, bacteria are an essential part of my body, and therefore something we have to learn to relate to constructively. Of course, animals, other than human beings, other beings than human beings, they have a right to life and a purpose in of themselves. And I think this kind of wisdom is accessible to any human being. And I know that women are very close to it. And that might be related to their physical capacity of relating to Earth. I don't know about that capacity in men, that I'm sure it exists in their ways as well. But for me, the body-earth connection is very easily accessible for women, actually, when we dare to step out of that box. And my final answer to your question there is that I think the significance of women today and women coming together and collectives of women is daring to speak a different truth. Daring to speak a truth that is not easy to speak. I feel it right now myself. A truth that is not valued, that is easily made ridiculous in this system, in this society as it works right now, Western society for sure. And supporting each other to dare to acknowledge this truth that we feel, and also learning how to express it, testing and practicing with each other how to put it into words, how to put it into any kinds of also artistic expressions or business models and any kinds of ideas. And then with this strength, with this support of other women who understand us, who confirm this truth we feel, bring it into the world.
Wow. Yes, thank you. Mm. And Anna, you mentioned great turning. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean with great turning, and how can we, as individuals and collective, in your imagination, how can we cope with it, but also how can we stand for it and play an active role and own this period of transition that feels so alive, especially in this moment with all that is such happening at the global level. And because I feel it's very, very important and significant in this precise historical moment to find ways to act out of love and not out of fear, and act rather than react, as so often happens. And yeah, of course, as women, as men, as being.
Yes, thank you for that question. So I want to pay tribute to Joanna Macy, the founder of the work that reconnects, which is my root practice, which is how I practice and experience deep ecology. And yeah, I will make a little loop around that. So deep ecology for me is really the understanding, the knowledge, but then also really the experience, the experiential event of being more than just this human body. That my human body is not the boundary and the limit of who I am. The deep recognition of interbeing, that what is happening on the other side of the planet has an effect on me, and what I am doing here, the choices I make here, have an effect all around the planet. And the work that reconnects is a collection of practices and philosophies that Joanna Macy has inspired, founded, brought into the world, and brought alive for many people through her wonderful retreats. And it's an open collection, it's open source in a way, as it keeps on being developed by anyone with their own gift. They see how this work could grow and become even more nurturing and meaningful, and they just add that part. And so Joanna Macy has created the foundations, the philosophical foundations, inspired strongly by Buddhist philosophy and by systems theory, and also many indigenous cosmologies. And one thing that she speaks to is the idea of the three stories. And the most well-known story is the business as usual, which also right now, in times of Corona, in lockdown, and in looking towards post-COVID time, we see coming up massively the story of business as usual, as in, let's go back to normal. Let's come back, let's do everything we can and we need to, so that we recreate life and society and the system as it was functioning before. And to many of us, that seems absurd. It was such a tremendous shock that we just went through in terms of what is possible, as we are always told there is no alternative. And yet, total shutdown of the economy globally and a confinement at home is possible. So the idea of everything is going to be as before is absurd, surreal, and at the same time also shocking, as this situation, and concretely also the illness, has made apparent so many failures of the system, the hotspots of human suffering as the system is constructed, the capitalist system. And so there are two other stories that Joanna Macy also speaks to, and one is the unraveling, the great unraveling. And unraveling, she always explains as when you have a knitted sweater, for example, and you start pulling on one piece of the wool, then it all comes slowly, it all comes apart. And that's the unraveling. And I think that describes much better what we see in the media today. All the suffering and all the inequalities that our system creates and is built upon, that they become so much more visible and obvious, and the absurd management and dealing of people that we say now are doing the essential jobs, and still they're treated as disposable. If they go, then someone else can replace them. So there's this deep unraveling of, we see so many things that don't work as they're said that they work, as they're supposed to work. There is so much death and suffering and inequality that is so obvious. And so we cannot believe anymore, and this can just keep on going as it has been. So that's the experience of the great unraveling. And then the third story is the story of the great turning. And what's very important to understand is that it's not a description of reality. It's not like one of these stories is right. It's all ways of looking at reality, making meaning of what we experience, and therefore also underlining what really matters right now. And so if we keep telling that story of the great unraveling, what we're undermining is despair and hopelessness. And a lot of climate change reporting also goes in that direction, where it's very hard. Also, the climate science makes it very hard to see anything but the great unraveling happening. And it is happening. And yet there is also that part of reality that is the great turning. And the great turning, it's, as you said beautifully, it's turning towards another way of being, turning towards acting from love rather than from fear. And it's so visible in, also right now, it's becoming more visible through everything that works. The places where people, although they're supposed to be in lockdown and isolation, the places where the communities, for example, the eco communities, even house shares, people are dependent on each other. People have intentionally chosen to live together, and therefore they can't isolate themselves. So they are also forced to stay in this web of solidarity and mutual support, and that even intensifies now these days. And also the places of, and people who are engaging in self-subsistence, in farming and in urban gardening, that has been revived a lot also during this lockdown period. It's these small examples, and I'm just taking out those two because they're very prominent in this period. But it's these small examples that show that the great turning is happening, and there are many big examples of that as well. There are these huge movements that are global, local and global, movements of people rising up and demanding and pointing out different ways of being that are really respectful of individual uniqueness, and at the same time fully founded on solidarity, on the recognition that we're all in this together, and that every single person has a different way of how they contribute to the great turning, and yet every single person's contribution is essential. Maybe I'll stop there for now.
Thank you. Thank you for answering all my questions. It feels such a gift from you, and feel really supported by your words. And I just want to say to our sisters that if you want to reach out and reach Anna, you can ask us and we will share her contact. So if you're looking for the amazing facilitator that she is, and yeah, reach out. She's amazing. I'm sorry, sister, if you hear some background noise, but I am in this moment in the Sicilian countryside, and farmers and gardeners are working all around. They just started, so yeah.
It's not coming all the way to Brussels.
Yeah.
For others.
I know Anna wanted to gift us with the meditation. Unless you have other things that you want to share with us and to say before.
I think the important things have been said, and I would love to go into meditation with you. And I would like to offer a meditation that guides us into connection with an other than human being. And wherever you are right now, however confined you may be, or forced to go to a work that might not be respecting your needs for safety and health right now. Whatever your situation may be, I hope that in this time there is an other than human being in your surrounding. I see a beautiful tree under which Elisa is sitting, for example. For me personally, during the lockdown, it came here in Brussels, it came exactly at the time where spring was slowly starting to arise and then burst into full blossom and then passed over into the beginnings of summer. And being forced to work from home and looking at the same landscape outside of my window every day, it was the first time for me to really every day see the changes that are happening, that are slow, that also the timeline. Maybe that's one thing that I would have still liked to have spoken to, so I do it now. That the timeline, how our relationship to time has changed over this time, and the gift of not for all of us the gift of being able to slow down, and for others being forced to slow down. But in any case, I think many of us have experienced a different relationship to time. And for me personally, daring to slow down more, really doing, even walking, moving in a more slow way has been really, really valuable and nurturing over the past weeks and months. And yes, also my observation of the other than human beings around me, many more birds that appeared, many more insects that are alive, and also the trees going into blossom, and seeing from very slow changes suddenly this sudden change also. So this non-linearity of how life evolves around us. And as I've been talking, I hope that images have been come up for you from your surroundings. And one part of the human natural ecosystem that you inhabit may have come to mind. And I say one part because that could be a part, that could be a network, that could be a forest, for example, or it could be a single one element that you pull out of that network, one tree, for example. Or as I said, the birds, the insects. I'm sure there are many examples for you in your life right now. And I would like to invite you to focus your attention on one of these other than human beings right now. And closing your eyes might help if that feels comfortable for you. And first of all, putting the awareness in your own body, and especially I invite you to focus your awareness on your navel, on the part of your body inside your belly, behind your navel. And you might feel the air entering that part, moving that part. And from that central point of your body, with your respiration expanding and retracting, you might feel an expansion taking hold of your whole body. An energy, if you feel it that way. That takes hold of your whole body and then contracts back into that middle part. Expanding as you breathe in and contracting as you breathe out. And as you are fully aware of your own being inside the confines of that bodily limitation, I invite you to call into your mind heart, the awareness of this other than human being. Maybe a landscape, maybe an animal, maybe a mineral. And as you invite the awareness of this other being into your body, you can let your attention flow into the movements that exist for that being. As your body expands and contracts, you can feel into the movements that occur for this other than human being. They might be tiny and very fast, as with a little bird moving its wings and breathing in high frequency. They might also be very slow, as in a tree or the fertile soil of the forest that is also breathing, even though that is more visible over the seasons and maybe even human lifetimes. If you might be thinking of a mountain slowly decaying and slowly rising, depending on which crest of planet Earth it stands. And as you offer your awareness on this other than human being, you might feel an alignment happening between your own sense of time, your own expansion and contraction, and the sense of time that this other than human being experiences. And your experience of your own body and everything that this precious existence is capable of all the seasons your own body goes through. You might be inspired by the seasons of this other than human being that you're relating to right now. And you might find inspiration in experiencing your own seasons differently. And experiencing the fertility that expresses itself in so many different ways. And with this inspiration, I invite you to come back, focus back on your own body. And bring this inspiration like a treasure with you. And find a place where it would like to live in your body. Find a body part that relates to what you just experienced of this other than human being. And paying tribute to it, giving thanks to whatever you might have experienced now. Anchor that experience and insight in that part of your body and hold it dear. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes again and reconnect to the surroundings that you find yourself in right now.
Thank you so much, Anna. I would like to dedicate this beautiful talk and all the emotions that you may feel in this moment in your body, in your spirit, all the delicacy and strength that may have arisen from this talk. I would like it to offer it back to Devi, to the goddess in form of Mother Earth. We offer it to the earth, to the planet, and all its inhabitants. Also from the heart of those who will watch this video in the future, as time is non-linear, and we can be all together in heart at the very same moment all the time. And I also would like to dedicate our blessings and love to beautiful Anna and to the baby that she's carrying in her womb in this moment. So may you receive all these blessings and love and flowers and sweets and all sweet things you can imagine.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to you, Elisa, to the beautiful place you're in. I'm so grateful to have been connected to this place through this time we shared together. And thank you to all the wonderful women at Be Woman Project. I'm so grateful for all the dedication and energy and light you put into this work. And I can't wait to keep collaborating with you.
Yes. Please, Anna, share with us in the Be Woman platform all the beautiful events you may organize. Feel free to consider it as your space also. We are so looking forward to hear more.
Thank you, I will.
Om Bhumi Devye Namaha.